Alright, this is section 1.3, the homework assignment. Slopes of lines. He's asking me, first of all, to find the slope of this line, but to give you a hint here, many times with multiple choice, there are a couple of answers, at least one answer that makes absolutely no sense. First thing I notice is this line is slanting downhill from left to right. The line slants downhill left to right. It has a negative slope. So if it has a negative slope, it can't very well be positive 1, and it can't be a positive 5. So already, I've gone from a 1 shot in 4 getting the right answer to a 1 shot in 2, right? 50-50. All right, to calculate the slope, the formula says it's y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. It's the change in y, delta y, over the change in x. So I got 2 points here. I got a negative 5 comma 0, and my second point here is 0 comma negative 5. Now, which one I call x1 and x2, it doesn't make a heck of a difference. So I'm going to call this x1 and my y1, and this is x2, and this is my y2. All right. Obviously, if I call this x1, I'm not going to call that y2. It's x1 and y1, x2 and y2. All right, the change in y. So y sub 2. Y sub 2 is a negative 5. Subtract y sub 2, negative 5, subtract y sub 1, which is 0, divided by x sub 2. X sub 2 is 0, minus x sub 1, which happens to be negative. So negative 5 subtract nothing is negative 5. Minus times a minus is a positive. Negative 5 divided by positive 5 is a negative 1. All right, negative 1 is my slope, and you can see I've already circled letter D. Number 2, if I can get this thing pretty straight. All right, once again, I realize this line is slanting uphill from left to right. It's got a positive slope. If it's got a positive slope, it can't be letter B, that's negative, it can't be letter D. All right, so once again, calculating the slope. Yeah, all right, I'm going to refer to my 2 points are positive 2, 0. And my second point is right down here, 0, negative 4. It's a little tough to read that, but you realize it's 2 to the right, and you stay right there. So that's 2, 0. I'm going to call this x1 and y1, and call this guy x2 and y2. So it's the difference of my y values. My y sub 2, all right, here again. M is equal to y2 minus, be nice if you could see that. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. All right, so y sub 2, it's a negative 4, minus y sub 1, which is 0, divided by x sub 2, which is 0, subtract x sub 1, which is 2. Negative 4 and 0 is a negative 4. 0 minus 2 is a minus 2. I can write a 2 properly. Negative over negative signs are the same. My quotient is positive. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And there we have it. You can see it's already circled. All right, but the key thing is you knew this guy, the slope of this line had to be positive. All right, because it slanted uphill, so it very well couldn't be B or D. So you got a 50-50 shot. In like manner, number 3, this line is slanting downhill from left to right. All right, so it's got a negative slope. All right, so it can't be B because B is positive and A is positive. So I'm down to it's either letter C or letter D. And the 2 points, so first of all, the equation, the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I got 2 points that are outlined for me, negative 9 comma 3, this point here, and the second point here is 1, negative 4, 1 comma negative 4. It's a little tough to see the 1 here, but over 1 and down 4, so I know that point is right. I'm going to refer to this guy as my x1, and this is my y1, my x2, and my y2. Subtracting the y values, y sub 2, negative 4, minus y sub 1, which is 3, over x sub 2, which is 1, minus x sub 1, which is a minus 9. So minus 4 minus 3 over 1 minus a minus 9. Minus 4 combined with a minus 3 is a minus 7. 1 minus a minus is plus. 1 plus 9 is going to be 10. Negative 7 over 10 is, negative 7/10. Letter C. Number 3, letter C. All right, number 4. Well, nothing much to do here because I know it's a horizontal line. All horizontal lines have a slope of 0. If it had been a vertical line, the slope would have been undefined. So nothing for me to do over there. All right, I'm not even going to use the formula. It's a horizontal line, slope is 0, end of case. I mean, I could use the formula. What would end up happening is, since the y values are the same, my numerator would become 0. 0 divided by anything is 0. But hey, horizontal line, slope is 0, moving on. No need to get too fancy over here. All right, so let me do this on a separate piece of paper here. Number 5. My points in question are 8, comma, negative 4. And the second point is 8, comma, negative 8. So, this is an 8. I can do that a little better. 8, negative 4, 8, negative 8. Well, I see my x values here are the same. So what I'm thinking of is I'm going over 8 and coming down to negative 4, and then then coming over 8 and coming down to negative 8. What I'm going to have here is, you can see it's a vertical line. By that I know if it's a vertical line, then my slope, for number 5, my slope is undefined. Now, let's say you didn't recognize that. Calling this x1 and y1, and referring to this as x2 and y sub 2. Slope, difference of my y values, right? So it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y sub 2 is a negative 8 minus y sub 1, which is a negative 4, over x sub 2, which is 8, minus x sub 1, which is also 8. So what you see, you get a 0 in the denominator. In your numerator, you get a negative 8 plus 4, which is negative 8 plus 4, which is a negative 4. But anything 4, any number divided by 0 is undefined. Here again, you knew it's a vertical line by plotting those points. So vertical line, slope is undefined for number 5. Number 6, the points in question, let's see, are 7, comma 3 and 2, comma 4. And my slope is the difference of my y values. Alright, so 4 subtract 3 divided by 2 subtract 7. 2 subtract 7. Difference of my y values over the difference of my x values. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 4 minus 3 is 1. 2 minus a 7. A positive 2 combined with a negative 7 is a negative 5. So this is a negative 1/5. Number 6. Letter A, negative 1/5. Alright, that's what I got here, negative 1/5. Alright, number 7. Points in question. Let's see, negative 18, comma, negative 5. And the second point is 5, comma, negative 8. x1, y1, x2, and y2. Alright, my slope is the difference of my y values. A minus 8 minus a minus 5 over 5, x sub 2, 5, minus x sub 1, which is already negative. Let's see, this becomes negative 8. A minus times a minus is a positive. Let's see, 5 minus a minus 18 becomes 5 plus 18. Negative 8 and positive 5 is a negative 3. 5 and 18 is 23, a negative 3 over 23. Number 7, I've got it right here. Negative 3/13. I'm sorry, 3/23. Letter A. All right, that's number 7. Number 8, it's got fractions. Everybody loves fractions. So, number 8. My points are 1/8, 1/8, comma, 1/2. And the other point is 1/4, comma, 1/4. Alright. Slope is a difference of my y values. 1/4, y2. If I refer to this x1, y1, x2, and y2, y sub 2, which is 1/4, minus y sub 1, which is a half, divided by x sub 2, which is 1/4, minus x sub 1, which is 1/8. Let's see, common denominator would be 4, so this would be 1/4. 1/2 would be the same as 2/4. So 1/4 minus 2/4, let's see, if I rewrite this as 1 minus 2, common denominator of 4, this is a negative 1/4. And in the denominator, I've got 1/4, let's see, 1/4 would be equivalent to 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 1. 1/4 is the same as 2/8. Subtract 1/8, so that's going to give me 1/8. So I end up with 1/8 in my denominator. So first of all, I know my answer is going to be a negative number. All right, I got a negative fraction divided by a positive fraction. First of all, I know it's going to be a negative number. It's not going to be 2. And it's not going to be undefined. And it's either one of these two. So what do we got here? A negative 1/4 divided by 1/8. Now, from middle school, division means multiplication by the reciprocal. So this is negative 4 into itself once. 4 goes into 8 twice. This is going to be a negative 2. Negative 2. All right, so letter C. Okay. All right. Determine the slope if it exists. Determine the slope, if it exists, of the graph of the given linear equation. Well, this guy is solved for y. It's in the format of y equals mx plus b. The slope is the coefficient of the x term, right? This is in the format of y equals mx plus b. All right, so m is the coefficient of, and what's that coefficient? Well, you see it's negative 1/4. There's your slope. Number 10 is nicely set up for us. It's already solved for y, so the slope is the coefficient, numerical coefficient of the x term, negative 5.4. Negative 5.4. All right, so he tries to be sneaky here, but big deal. You know, f of x, I can rewrite this as 4x plus 6. There's your slope. It's the coefficient, the number that precedes the x term. And there it is, 4, number 11. Number 11, letter B. Find the slope and y-intercept. So same thing, with just one added part to this. We already know the slope, it's just a matter of the y-intercept. Well, this is already solved for y. There's your slope, 2/3. Your y-intercept is 1, better known, it's on the y-axis, so it's 0, 1, all right? Your y-intercept is 1, right here. So that point there is 0, 1, your y-intercept. So number 12. Number 12, letter A. There's your slope, there's your y-intercept. I'm just putting the 0. Anything on the y-axis has an x value of 0. In this case, it's going to be 0, 1. Slope, there it is right there, 2. So I kind of look at all my answers, and I only see... This is number 13. Notice, here he's telling me the slope is a half. Can't be that. Here he tells me it's 3. I know it's 2. Here he tells me it's negative 2. No, it's 2. This is the only one that has a slope of 2. I'm all done. Moving on. I mean, why play around with this when he gives me a freebie like that? I'm going to take it. Alright, so this is a reverse order, but you know the slope. If I rewrite this. Alright, making sure I get my signs right. 4/11 x plus 9. Here's your slope right here, 4/11. Alright, so this one's got negative 4/11. This one's got 9, so it's either A or B. What's the y-intercept? It's 0, 9, not 9, 0. This is on the y-axis. Alright, right here, it's up at 9. 0, 9. Alright, not 9, 0. 9, 0 will be on the x-axis. 0, 9, number 14, letter B. Alright, so here again, now it gets a little tricky on us. He gives us the equation, but it's not good to go. It's not in slope-intercept form. So number 15. The equation is 9x plus 4y equals 35. I got to solve this for y. Once I get it solved for y, the slope would be right in front of me. It would be self-evident, and so will the y-intercept. So to solve for y, I'm going to subtract 9x on both sides. I'm going to put that minus 9x right in front of the 35. 9x's cancel out. 4y is equal to minus 9x plus 35. I need to get y by itself. I'm going to divide everything through by 4. 4's will cancel out. I get y equal to negative 9/4 x plus a 35/4. Alright, so I've got it solved for y. I know what y is equal to, so this is my m value, and that's my slope. So I got a negative, this is number 15. 15, I've got a negative 9/4. Alright, negative 9/4. And if I look at this, there's only one that has the correct slope, negative 9/4. That's positive. That's 4/9, and that's 4/9 but negative. Hey, I'm all done. I know my slope is negative 9/4 right there. And there's only one answer that had the right slope. And, 35/4, I know my y-intercept is right. All right, number 16, the same idea. They give me the equation, but it's not in slope-intercept form. It's not solved for y, so I got to take this and manipulate it. To solve for y, before I can get y by itself, I need to get 8y by itself. So I'm going to negate this negative 6x on both sides by adding 6x. I'm going to add 6x on both sides. All right, just put the 6x in front of the 8, that's all. So, well, I should have, here again, subtracted 6x here. Whoops, what am I doing? I'm adding 6x. Thank you, Mr. Gomes. Adding 6x on the left side and adding 6x on the right side. Let me just rewrite this again. 6x plus 8y plus 6x equals 6x plus 8. Okay, so I've added 6x to both sides. A negative and a positive 6x cancel out. 8y equal to 6x plus 8. Now I'm going to divide everything through by 8. Divide the left side by 8. Divide this first term by 8 and divide the last term by 8. 8's cancel out. And I get y equal to 6 divided by 8, that's 3/4, and then 8 divided by itself, it's 1. So there's my slope, 3/4, and once again, there's only one answer that has the correct slope. I mean, granted, I got my y-intercept correct, it's 0, 1, but there it is, 3/4. Why are you going to mess around with it? There's only one that had the correct slope. Number 17, it gives me the equation here. First thing I notice is that I get a positive slope, 2/5. It's a fraction, but it's positive, right? So my line slants uphill. Well, as I look at this guy is going uphill, that's going uphill, that's going up. They're all going uphill. All right, so that doesn't help me out much. But I realize here that my y-intercept is -2, so my line goes to the point 0, -2. Anything on the y-axis has an x value of 0. So I'm looking for a line that has a y-intercept of -2. Well, here, this goes through -2. This guy has a y-intercept of 5. This guy goes through y equals, 0, negative 2, my y-intercept. This guy is going through positive 2. Don't want that. So right now I'm down to, these are the only two lines that had the correct y-intercept of 0, negative 2. 0, negative 2, and 0, negative 2 there. So what I would have done here, since I know my y-intercept is 0, negative 2, I would have put a dot right there. Now the slope, I'm going to put a dot right there, 0, negative 2. The slope is 2/5. Alright, so this is vertical change over horizontal change. So both of these guys are positive. So our vertical change, positive 2, I want to come up 2. Alright, up 2, and then I want to go in the horizontal direction, positive 5. Alright, and what this would do for me is it would determine another spot, another point, I should say, and I could connect them with a line. So the question is, which line is that? And obviously, you can see where it's going through positive 5, 0, and this is the one right here. Alright. This has a smaller slope than that guy there does. Notice if I had gone up 2 and over 5, I would have been here. This line is not going to that point, right? So, letter C, number 17, letter C. 18, yeah, a couple of ways of doing this. First thing, this is not solved for y, so let me do that. Let me get this in slope-intercept form. I'm going to subtract 28x on both sides. Minus 28x minus 4. Positive and negative 28x cancel out. This is equal to a minus 28x minus 4. I'm going to divide everything through by 4 here. 4s would cancel, leaving me y equal to a negative 7x minus 1. So there's my slope and there's my y-intercept. So the first thing I realized is my slope is a negative value. So my line is slanting downhill. Well, can't be this guy because this guy's going uphill. Can't be letter D. D's going uphill. So it's either going to be letter A or letter C. This is number 18. Now, all right, so what I could do in my calculator, I could actually put that in and, see which one of these lines look very, very, very similar. Very, very similar. Now, I'll tell you why it's letter A and not. From 0, negative 1, which is right here. All right, my slope is a negative 7. All right, negative 7, I'm going to call that negative 7 over 1. So this is my vertical change, and this is my horizontal change. So from that point, I want a vertical change of negative 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I want a horizontal change of 1. You can see I'm right there. Now, if I had done it on the other line, if I had come down from, well, in actuality, this guy is not even going through my y-intercept. This guy here is going through the origin. All right. This is the only one out of the two that were slanting downhill that went through negative 1. I didn't realize this went through 0. Kind of cheesy how he does that, because you're really going to look at this really closely, that this guy is going through negative 1, which is your y-intercept, where letter C, the y-intercept here was 0, 0. So we knew it wasn't B, we knew it wasn't D. That's slanting the wrong way. This guy didn't have the right y-intercept. This is the only one that had it correctly, but we figured it out anyways. So 18A. And this last one's, well, here again, he gives it, it's nice because he gives it to me in slope-intercept form. First thing I realized, the slope is negative, so the line slants downhill. This guy's going uphill. Downhill is good. This is going downhill. This is going uphill from left to right. So can't be him, and it can't be letter A because both those lines slant uphill. My slope here is a negative number. My line slants downhill. Now the question is, which one is it? The y-intercept. The y-intercept is positive 4. What's this guy have for a y-intercept? Oh, it's got negative 4 for a y-intercept. This is the one that's got positive 4 for the y-intercept. There it is. My y-intercept is 4, better known as an ordered pair, 0, 4. I can write that a little better. All right, so this is the only one that had that slanted the right way and had the correct y-intercept. All right. In negative 5, I could go negative 5 over 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 1, come down 5 and over 1. But it had the right y-intercept. End of case. Letter C. All right. I hope that helps. Should.